So many of my students have been like asking me to make videos and share some valuable information for over a period of time, but I was refraining from doing it. So I've decided finally that it's the right time that I do it and share some input with not just my students but also with many people who might be benefited through this. So I'm Andrew. I'm a career counselor and a test prep trainer, and I've been a test prep trainer for the past 10 years and more. So close to 11. This is my 11th year. So I believe it's an opportunity for me to share some good input on what or how to prepare for test prep for all your test prep exams, for be it the SATs or the ACTs, the GRE, GMAT, and all these various exams. And also I strongly suggest students to follow up on the upcoming videos, because I believe it's going to be really informative for you, because these are my videos are going to be based completely on the doubts and the most common myths that the students have about these exams. And also I will be focusing on the career platforms that are mushrooming in the recent times, especially post-pandemic, the new opportunities that students have got. So we would be focusing on various discussions on different topics. So I thought it'd be right for me to start with quite a lot of doubts. I've been students have been asking me the same question over and over regarding test prep. So I thought I'd right away, bang on start with the test prep video. So in today's session, we'll be looking at the most frequently asked questions by students. So these questions, I'm pretty sure students who are in your 9, 10, 11th grades, you'd be having this question. And I hope the 12th graders, you should have answered, you should have answers for all these questions. But if not, do not worry. You can still catch up with your test prep, and you can still catch up with your, your examinations. So these are the most commonly asked 5 questions, which I'm going to answer. As a person with almost a decade of experience, I believe I'm most suitable to answer these questions. So when should I take up my SAT or ACT? So this is a common question asked among usually the 9th, 10th graders start these kind of questions, or sometimes their parents start these kind of questions. So when a student wants to start for his to start, when I as a trainer, I would suggest them to start during the 9th or the 10th grade, their preparation to take up, to have this mindset of taking up the SATs or ACTs. If they are eyeing the US, or even if they are eyeing any other country, I would actually suggest them to go for the SAT or ACT, because it might definitely add weightage to their general profile. Maybe last minute change of plans, they might suddenly want to come back, and apply for a university in the US. So I would suggest 9th or the 10th grade would be the right time for them to start the preparation. But they can, any day they can go for the PSAT, the preliminary SAT, and then they can start slowly moving on to the SATs in the 11th grade. And if the student is really prepared, then they can even give their SAT or the ACT in the 10th grade itself. But ideally 11th grade would be even better, because they will be able to span all their, they spend the time for the other, parts of the curriculum as well. So the next question goes as to when should I take my AP exams? So this is another question basically asked by students who go to the IB board, and AP has become quite common in India nowadays, and students who go to the other boards also have actively started taking up the AP exams, the advanced placement exams. So you can take it up anytime after your 9th grade again, but just make sure that you're really prepared for the AP exam, because the AP is a big affair that you'll be getting into. So it's not an easy thing that you can just, with few weeks of preparation, you can't go for the AP exam. You definitely need a few months of preparation before you sit for the APs, and it's conducted only yearly once, unlike the ACTs. So I would suggest always go well prepared for the AP exams, because your AP scores do reflect on your general profile as such, especially if you're applying for the US. So until and unless you're really prepared, do not go and sit for the AP. And until if you're not confident, do not go and sit for the AP. But just make sure that you take up like really good practice before you go for the AP exam. So the next question is, how do I choose my AP subjects? So this is a very tricky question, because I cannot answer this question to the point. So I generally suggest students to do a reflective analysis on what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what subjects you've done so far, and what are your career goals. What subjects do you plan to do in your college? So you can do your APs based on that. If you're an engineering student, you can take up your AP chemistry and AP physics. So in AP physics, you have your AP physics C, you have your AP physics ABC, you have and then you have your AP Cal. So you have like various and you have AP World History, you have AP Economics, AP English and Literature. So multiple subjects are there. So I mean, like I would generally suggest it based on whatever curriculum whatever course you are planning to do in your undergrad. So based on that, you can take up your AP subject. And the next, do I really need to take up tutoring for SAT and ACT training? So yes and no. So I would give both the answers depending on your potential. So you need to, any student who comes even for training, when they approach me, sir, I need like training. The first thing that I do is I give them a diagnostic test. I see where they stand. And based on that, I would be able to tell them whether they need training or not, whether they need personal tutoring or not, or which part of their test needs personal tutoring. Not everybody needs personal tutoring. So you can, I've personally known, I've seen students who have cleared or who have aced the ACTs and ACTs without any personal tutoring. But at the same time, I've seen many students who desperately wanted training for who desperately wanted coaching and tutoring for SATs and ACTs, without which they wouldn't have been able to even score a 1300. So my suggestion would generally be based on the student potential. But it would be better if you at least take up a diagnostic and if you prep classes with some trainer who can actually identify your strengths and weaknesses, which will, because there are some students who get very good scores like 1450 in their SAT, and they would have easily got a 1550 if they would have had the right kind of guidance. So I would generally suggest students to go in for the right kind of guidance in terms of your test prep exams. So how many times should I write the ACT and ACT? So write it as I would now say write it as much as you want, but write it at least like twice if time permits, if you are well prepared. So the whole point is to avoid it like many times. So that's the reason I tell that start your preparation from your 9th grade. So by the time you reach your 10th grade, you know where exactly you stand with respect to your ACTs and your ACTs. So once you have a good idea about it, then you'll be able to take an informed decision on whether how many times you want to give it, or which months do you want to write it, and what's your ideal score that you can possibly get, and if you write it immediately, what score would you get? And maybe like the second time, sometimes students write it like the first time and they end up scoring let's say a 1350 or a 1400, and they are looking at something around a 1500. So how many months of preparation does he need to put more to improve this 150 points? So all this definitely matters. So you can actually count all that into count when you are preparation. And keeping all this aside, so your test prep is just one part of your profile, so it's not going to completely determine your admission into the university. So I generally suggest students to work on a holistic way of preparation, work on your your CAS, your your generally your predictives, naturally your school grades, work on your general profile, do a lot of social work, and boost your profile. Generally, your scores alone, your test prep scores alone, are not going to help you to get into your dream universities. So stay tuned and subscribe the channel if you really find this video informative, and you will be getting a lot of more information and test prep questions. We'll discuss question papers, we'll discuss exam pointers as well. So we will, and also we would be getting a lot of information from other faculties and other subject experts on this channel. So stay tuned, guys, and thank you.